guys, welcome back to my channel. So I thought it would be fun to do a video where I just go through all the different media, I guess, that I've consumed recently and kind of give little mini reviews or just like overviews, thoughts, opinions, critiques, rather than giving them all like individual videos, because for the most part it's not that deep. I don't have anything that unique to say about it, but I still want to share my thoughts. So if you like this kind of video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on videos like this in the future. And let's get started. I have a list. One of these I think I'm definitely going to do a whole video on, but I just wanted to give like my thoughts about it. Okay, so first up is Aladdin. So I saw the new Disney live action remake of Aladdin. I did do a trailer reaction video. I will have like an eye about it and also leave it in the description box below. But in case you've never seen any reaction videos of mine when it comes to these Disney remakes, I'm not a fan and they generally fill me with disgust. But with this movie, I liked it a lot more than Beauty and the Beast, but nowhere near as much as I like the 2015 remake of Cinderella. I genuinely love, and then no other Disney remake has come anywhere close to that. But I enjoyed this Aladdin a lot more than I thought I would. I like the costumes. I like the way the sets looked. It actually looked like a big lived-in kingdom. One of my main issues with Beauty and the Beast was that it all felt like it was on this tiny little set and I could see the green screen. So this feels a lot more expansive. I love the designs from like the costumes and the characters a lot better. CGI Blue Genie, still not my favorite thing. Thought it looked somewhat terrible and muddled, but when Will Smith was just like a regular person, visually great. I actually liked Will Smith a lot. I like that he wasn't trying to be Robin Williams. He had his own thing, his own jokes, his own style of singing and performing. His singing was all right, but like acceptable. Aladdin and Jasmine are absolutely fantastic singers, so I'm so happy they went with real singers for their main character. Something else they also didn't do in Beauty and the Beast, which drove me crazy. And another one of my issues with the gosh dang Beauty and the Beast was that it was like a scene by scene remake basically, but this actually had whole new scenes. I would say a third to almost a half of this movie was brand new material. So I really like that, because the question in the back of my mind whenever I hear or see these reboots is like, what's the justification behind it? Do you actually have like a different spin or a different story to tell? The live action Cinderella, the reason I like that so much is because it is virtually nothing like the animated one. It is so much better, actually focuses on the characters more and the prince and his backstory and his relationship with his father and Cinderella, and it's just a better story than the original animated one, which is, in my opinion, quite terrible. But the live action Aladdin was already great. So it was like, what are you gonna do to make it better? And I wouldn't say it's better than the animated one, but I like the dancing, I like the colorful costumes. A lot of Will Smith's jokes actually made me laugh. So it was fine. So a book that I read recently that I wasn't sure I really wanted to do a whole review about, I might do about just this author and all of her books in general rather than like individual books, but that is Gillian Flynn's Dark Objects. Gillian Flynn wrote Gone Girl. If you've read that book or seen that movie, that was a ginormous hit like back in 2015, 2016. And I read Gone Girl and Sharp Objects, but I never read Dark Places. My mom gave me the book. It was part of my like January book haul, which I will also link down below. I am almost through all of those books that I got, and I was a little bit dreading reading it because her books just always make me like kind of sad and cynical, and this was no different. But this is like a 550 page book that I read in 3 days. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to do anything but like sit down and read it. And every time I was like, okay, I'm going to actually get up after this chapter. And then we'd get to the end of the chapter and it's like, I physically cannot leave. She just has a way of writing that's very compelling to me, and I love the voice that her writing has. And this book is pretty dark and messed up because it's about a girl and she's the only one to have survived this horrible murder. They killed her mom and 2 other siblings, and her older brother was the one convicted, so he's in prison for life, and it's following her as an adult, kind of actually unraveling the mystery. But it also jumps back in time, and you get to read from the perspectives of the mom and the brother the day of the murder, and like just what's going on leading up to that. And those jumps back in time were just horrific and really hard to read. The mom's chapter was so intense that it was just not enjoyable. The brother's chapter, Ben, is the best part of this book. Everything about Ben's chapters and Ben's stories was amazing, and he's the brother that got convicted of these murders. But reading 16-year-old Ben was fascinating. I liked how the murder was revealed. There were some things about it that I didn't feel quite added up emotionally, and the climax was a little bit anticlimactic for me. I read Sharp Objects and Gone Girl back in like 2015, so it's been a while since I've touched them, but I have a feeling from my memory that I think I like this more than Sharp Objects, but not as much as Gone Girl. But again, I would have to reread those. But if I do, I will make a video about them because I really do love Gillian Flynn. As much as it kind of puts me in this intense downer mood for the next few days after I consume her stuff, there is an honesty with her work that's really refreshing that you rarely get to read, where it's saying things that I think we've all thought of or have all felt, but you just never see someone actually put it on the page because it's so horrible. If you think you can withstand that kind of truth and dread, I would 1000% recommend anything by Gillian Flynn. Speaking of, because I was on such a kick and so addicted to her work, I decided to watch the HBO series of Sharp Objects starring Amy Adams, which I did not think was as good as the book. Sharp Objects is a short book. It's the shortest out of Gillian Flynn's, and yet this was an 8-episode series. All of the episodes are around an hour. Some I think were a little bit more. And I think it could have been done, and probably could have been done better if it was done in 4 episodes. Watching the series also reminded me what a weird plot it is and how it very strangely comes together, and it kind of feels like it's all heading towards one direction and then it veers off into 2 different directions kind of very suddenly before coming back together. And the way they ended the series kind of pissed me off. I read the book, so I was looking forward to this like very specific reveal towards the end. And in the book, they have this reveal and then they have 10 to 15 more pages of like things that happen after the reveal. And in the series, they have the reveal and then cut it. And I don't like that. I wish they kind of had that breathing space afterwards for like both me and the characters to really think about that revelation. They have like some after credit stuff. I don't know. It's just, I love shows that have that kind of slow, intense burn where it feels like it's building towards something and then like an explosion at the end. I think, what was that HBO show with Matthew McConaughey? I want to say True Crime. Is that right? True Crime? We all know what I'm talking about though, because it was a huge deal. I love that kind of thing where it's like very slow and then just like poof. And Sharp Objects, my memory of the book, it was kind of like that, and then I think the show too many episodes. It kind of stalled. I thought everyone in the show was absolutely fantastic. I thought Amy Adams, I've never seen her in a role like this, where she's just so broken and just a complete wreck of a human being, and I thought she sold that really well without going over the top, because you think of a character like that where they're like a chronic self-harmer and an alcoholic and have horrible relationships with your parents, and you think of like a very dramatic character, but she did very subdued, and like the self-destruction was very internal, and I liked that a lot. It felt strangely disjointed to me and a little too slow. It takes place in a small town, so it's a lot of driving and seeing the same thing and going to the same places, and maybe that was supposed to mean something, and it's like I get it, but it was a lot. So not entirely sure I would recommend the show unless you've already read the books and you just have like a hankering to see these characters portrayed on screen. But like, was it necessarily worth it? I don't know. Another show that I've been watching, and this is what I might do a full video on, is Love, Death, and Robots. And this is an anthology series on Netflix, and I'm so glad that my friend, my animator friend, got me into this show. It took a minute, but it's really cool because all the episodes are anywhere from like 8 to 20 minutes long, and they are basically about anything. You have no idea what you're going to get from episode to episode. The styles are completely different. Some are very simple 2D, some are very like beautiful and complex 2D, some of them are hyper realistic 3D, some of them are extremely stylized, some look photorealistic. A lot of it kind of deals with sci-fi elements, I would say, but not all and not necessarily. So it's very interesting. I will say a lot of these episodes are a little over the top and gratuitous with their gore, and you can tell they're going for that like extreme shock factor, but there's something about having like episode after episode after episode that are all trying to do that, where it was just starting to wear on me a little bit, where I was just like, can we not watch someone's face get bashed in? But I also understand why they did that, because it's animation, so you can get really crazy like that. The cursing too, and I'm not a pansy, like I can handle it. There was just something about it that felt, just gratuitous and kind of like trying too hard to be adult. Like, oh, we actually get to do adult themed animation. Let's just throw all the violence and all the gore and all the cursing and all the sex as we can, and nudity that we possibly can. And it's like, let's reel that in just a little bit for the sake of the story. That's kind of my feeling on it. But yeah, I've been having such a blast with this show, and I think, and let me know in the comments if this sounds fun to you, that I want to make a video going episode by episode and just kind of giving my thoughts on them, because I'm a very opinionated person and I have pretty strong reactions to each episode, and I generally really like it or really dislike it. But even if I really dislike it, it's not because of a like craft issue. That's something that's really nice about all this animated work. It feels professional, and I never feel like I'm watching like a student film. Nothing against student films, they're important, but there is just a level of quality and craftsmanship that I feel every single one of these episodes have, which is really nice. And finally, I don't know if I can go too many videos without talking about Star Wars. My friend and I have been rewatching the Star Wars series. If you follow me on Instagram, Miss Claire Bear with 3 S's, I talk about it sometimes in my story, but he has never seen any of the original Star Wars trilogy and only like bits and pieces of the prequels. So we watched all of the trilogy, 4, 5, 6. We just finished 1. And so we're going to start Attack of the Clones maybe this week. We don't have like a timeline for all of this, but we want to go through like all of them. I haven't seen Star Wars as an adult, so it actually was kind of crazy to sit down and watch them all the way through. So A New Hope I have like a particular love for, because I think that's my most watched Star Wars movie. Like growing up, I really liked that one, even if it is a little it's a little corny, it's a little cheesy. You can definitely feel the budget increase between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back, I know is everybody's favorite, but it's never been my favorite, not as a kid and not as an adult. There's just something about it that's a little dull to me. But Return of the Jedi, those first 30 minutes with Jabba the Hutt, the reason I watch Star Wars is for that. It's just so perfect, and every second that we were like involved with that, my brain could not handle it. I was so happy. I love everything about like the puppets, the artistry, a heist in this dirty, weird alien gangster underground cavern. Like, it is so cool, and it's just like my heart, oh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Unfortunately, the rest of that movie is nowhere near as good, but like that Jabba the Hutt scene, man, whew. And then rewatching The Phantom Menace was a trip. I watched that movie a lot as a kid. I was 4 or 5 when that movie came out. I was young enough to consider Anakin in that movie like an older boy. And I really liked it growing up, and I was watching it again, and I was like, this isn't as bad as everybody says it is. The characters are terrible, the dialogue is horrendous, and the plot absolutely makes no sense. So in a way, it's absolutely as bad as everyone says it is. The thing that The Phantom Menace have that I definitely feel a lack of in the Disney movies is just a strong sense of place. Like, this world, or these worlds, feel so full and so lived in, and like some of them are really dirty. They have this really intense fashion, and like the way everything from the architecture looks to the geography is just very specific, and like having these creatures speak different languages, it just feels like so much work and love, and like somebody had such a clear vision when making this movie. It's just so specific, and I've never seen anything like it before or since. I feel that lack with the new Disney movies, where it's like it's too clean, it's too polished, it's not specific enough. It doesn't feel like there's as much like work or love put behind it. Does that make up for the excessive amount of Jar Jar Binks and horrible dialogue delivery? But it looked cool, so not looking forward to watching Attack of the Clones. That's one that I just don't want to watch it. I just want to pop in Plinkett's review on it instead, but gotta take that hit, you know? Those are some of the things that I have been watching and reading lately. Let me know if any of what I've talked about you want to see like full video reviews on, and I will consider it. I do have like more book reviews coming out. I have been reading a lot, so you can stay tuned for that by subscribing to this channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!